So the Vanarama National League have made a plea to the EFL, trying to make 2 promotion places turn into 3, and have launched a campaign called 3 Up. Now, is this the best thing for English football? Now, you look at this as a whole widespread, and initially everyone's thoughts might be, yes, it's the best thing for the Vanarama National League, it's the best thing for the EFL League Two. Now, before we do get into this video, let's talk about the tiering system. You've got Tier 1 being the Premier League, Tier 2 being the Championship, Tier 3 being League 1, Tier 4 being League 2, Tier 5 being the Vanarama National League, Tier 6 being the Vanarama National League North and the National League South, and Tier 7 being the Southern Prem Central, Southern Prem South, and the Isthmian Premier League. Now, the reason why I mention this is because between the National League below, or should I say between League 2 and below, they all have some sort of correlation into what I'm about to speak about today, and that is the Vanarama National League right in terms of wanting 2 promotion places to turn into 3? Now, on the 5th of February, National League put on their website about the fact that all 72 National League clubs have united in a plea to the EFL, which is rather supporting the change that they want to turn the 2 promotion places into 3, as they say this. All 72 clubs in the National League today took the unprecedented step of supporting a letter to the English Football League Board requesting a vote to create 3 promotion places into their league. Specifically, the National League is calling for an amendment to the regulations to allow 2 up to become 3 up in line with the rest of the football pyramid. They asked for this change in time for the forthcoming 2025-26 season. So what they're trying to say is that they want the change in time for next season. Now, at the moment, I don't really see much wrong with this, but we'll delve a bit further on into it. During an extraordinary general meeting of the National League clubs last week, which took place on the Thursday, 30th of January 2025, senior representatives from across the 3 divisions, National League North and National League South, unanimously agreed to collectively approach the EFL and launch a campaign that will put football first. Now, I want you to keep those words, the 3 words that I've just said, the last 3 words, which is put football first. Now, we'll move on a bit into that later on in the video. Now, it also says that it will also be decided by all 72 National League clubs at the time is right for the game to put football in first, and this has to be immediate, given that 2025 is the year that independent football regulator is scheduled to come into force. Whilst the IFR's scope does not cover promotion and relegation matters, it overall remit does encompass the National League and EFL. Now, I don't really know much about the independent football regulator. However, it's a bit mad, really, that it's something that I need to learn about. But just keep the word put football first into account of when I say this. Now, first things first, before we go into this next bit, we have 2 YouTubers. One is a Fleetwood Town vlogger, also does his own shows called Nappers, who is from Cod Vlogs. Go and check him out, and link will be down in the description down below. And the other one is called Diversity, who also runs a Southend vlogging channel so he's in the National League. So we've got a League 2 YouTuber, a National League YouTuber. What do they have to say about this?
I personally feel the 3 up, 3 down has to come in to the Football League and for the National League. League 2 has become less competitive. You can be pretty much poor all season and stay up each season. I don't feel they should ask League 2 football clubs, why would they say yes to a better chance of your club getting relegated and going out of the Football League? It's just not going to happen. The clubs below have continuously come up to the division and have done well. You only need to look at Bromley as an example of that. Yes, you've got other football clubs like Stockport and Wrexham who have got money. Leyton Orient have gone up to League 1 in recent years as well, without spending massive fortunes on players in the Football League as well. For me, the quality is there in the lower leagues. Why should there only be 1 automatic promotion spot? Why should there only be 1 playoff spot? It should be a champions, a runner-up, and then a playoff spot. I'm all for the playoffs in this division, in the National League. I like the way it's run. That is one thing I think is good about the National League. For League 2 football clubs, again, I think they're going to have to take it on the chin and have it. They've got an extra chance of promotion. You've got that. But for me, it has to come into place. It'd be better for the game, more competitive. And that's coming from a football club with one of the lower fan base in the division that one day could be dragged into that relegation battle. Although it wouldn't, again, help other football clubs in League Two. Why should they be privileged? Why should there only be 2 going down? Why are they so protected?
Yo, boys and girls, and yo to you as well, Jabbo. Thank you for having me on this amazing video of yours. Hope you're keeping well, mate. And here we are then today to talk about the Free Up, Free Down campaign across the National League and EFL, which will hopefully be introduced this summer. I have got everything crossed that it is, but being a Southend United fan and vlogger especially, I would love to see another playoff spot, or another spot added to go up, and another spot to come down, just because Southend have missed out on the playoffs for 2 years in a row, either by 1 place or 1 point. And it's so frustrating being a Southend fan. But nonetheless, you got to love it. You support your own club, your heritage. The heritage some clubs have in this league is through the roof. But on back to where we were, would I love it? Yes, of course I would. I think it would benefit the system so much. There are so many teams in the National League which have gone up and have excelled in League Two and even gone up to League One, like your boys Wrexham, Jeb. I mean, God, that is a story to say the least. But since 2003, it has always been 2 up, 2 down. And it has maybe benefited times back then when maybe there wasn't as many former EFL clubs dropping down, or financial stability wasn't as much an issue back then. There were obviously troubles, but maybe not as bad as it is today with clubs disappearing left, right and centre. So to add 3 up, 3 down, I think is vital in the terms of financial stability, in terms of just the football pyramid as a whole. I think it would benefit to see clubs like part-timers getting up into that from the National League to League Two, because it is really a fair playing field. Like we said, we've seen teams over the years go up to League Two and they've just accustomed so well. Like, look at Bromley this season. They were a part-time side last season, going up to the EFL. I think they were bookies to go straight back down. And they're excelling. They're really doing well. So I think it shows the power that the National League actually has, as opposed to some clubs in League Two. And I think for clubs coming down from League Two, it gives them more of a chance to bounce back. It gives that fight back to say, okay, you know, when you're relegated, it's the worst feeling in the world, following your club getting relegated. But it gives you that chance the following season to go, right, we've been knocked down a peg, but we're going to go straight back up. And this extra playoff spot might allow us to do that. I think in terms of both leagues, it benefits it massively. In terms of the football pyramid as a whole, where it could lie, I'd say currently the football pyramid is more like an iceberg instead of a pyramid, in all honesty. It's more like clubs in the National League and below are just sitting below that iceberg, just barely surviving. Financially, they're not that great. In terms of attractiveness, it's not too great for some, but teams on top of that iceberg are sitting nice and comfy. They've got financial packages coming in, and they know safety in terms of that is a big thing. But for teams to maybe get that extra playoff spot in terms just for financial side is massive. To get a chance to go straight back up, so the team in first goes straight up, the team in second then, it offers that another foreignness to the playoffs in the National League, I feel, instead of just sitting in those playoffs for most of the season going, we're going to go in the playoffs. We're going to play the team in 7th place. We're going to beat them. We're going to play this team. And then we're going to get to Wembley and go up that way. It offers that, right, we want to finish, if not first, second. First should be the objective, obviously. But to say, okay, we can finish runners up and we're going to go up, I think adds that another level of foreignness to the league. Because especially being a National League vlogger and supporter, there's no easy game in the National League. You could be top of the league and go into bottom of the league to play away. You're going to have a hard game. There's no set-on game in the National League that will make you have an easy day. But I hope you've enjoyed my little take on things there. If I was to change anything, perhaps maybe some new referees in the National League, because they are abysmal. Honestly, they're abysmal. There's been too many games this season that I've been to. They've been horrible. Get some EFL referees standard. Get National League sort it out, please. But in terms of what I think will happen this summer, I hope the EFL will change their mind as they have in recent seasons. I believe they've been reluctant over the seasons to add that extra 3rd place just to disadvantage their League Two side. But I hope this season it is introduced and we can have a new season where clubs in League Two have to actually fight and not just think, oh, we're not in the bottom 2, and teams in the National League will be fired up and ready to go into a season saying, right, we might not get first, or we'll aim for first, like we said, but if we can get second, we're straight up. And those playoffs then become a lot easier for clubs. Instead of playing 3 playoff games, you just do the 2 like up in the EFL. I think it's massive for the future of football, and I hope I have everything crossed that it will happen. Come on.
Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, whether you agree with what Nappers and Diversity have said. And let me know your thoughts as well, because it'll be an interesting take in this whole situation. Now, going back to what I was going to say, National League Chair Jack Pearce, MBE. Now, this is where the important bit comes in for me, because what he says and what the CEO Mark Ives is about to say as well in this is where my comments and my thoughts are going to come into this a lot more. Now, Jack Pearce, MBE, said, this summer the independent football regulator is scheduled to be introduced. Their overall stated objectives include providing financial sustainability, economic resilience and preserving the heritage of the sport. Now, this is where it comes to me. Financial stability. So I'm all for the IFR to be introduced for this, because you look at your Berries, your Macclesfields, they've been made extinct because the EFL could not look after them. Now, I know, before anyone says anything, you're probably going to say to me, Jebbo, they couldn't even look after their own clubs. Yes, but you should always have a guide to stop these clubs from becoming extinct and folding. Now, obviously, I know they're back in football, but it's everyone's prerogative to save these clubs, because they're the clubs that you go and watch week in, week out. That's what it is. It's clubs that you go and watch week in, week out, and the EFL has to look after them first before even acknowledging anything else, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll move back on into what Jack Pearce is saying. He also goes on to say, in terms of heritage, National League clubs are at the heart of the towns and cities across the whole country. The majority of these clubs are over a century old and part of the fabric of their communities. An extra promotion place for these clubs into the EFL would create an invaluable aspiration for these clubs and supporters, plus clubs in the league below. We simply can't wait any longer for parity within the game. Now, I do agree with what he's saying, because for a lot of years now, it always has been 2 promotions, and I've always said that it should be 2 automatics, but with the financial stability bit, it gets back onto what I'm saying about these clubs that do fold and do go like massively like in debt and things like that. And you have to look at this and say, I understand with the financial stability bit, but this should be done a lot sooner. We should look at financial stability between the clubs before even looking at 3 promotion places. But here we are. And he also goes on to say, and this is where I'm going to start picking out bits now. He goes on to say, as well as increased financial stability, 3 up would mean a fluent football pyramid where teams can win promotion from the bottom to the top fairly. It will give more opportunity to clubs relegated from the EFL League Two to bounce back. I'm going to use that quotation marks, bounce back, because, listen, we'll get on to that in a second. He also says, we have consulted with the leagues below, ours in step 3. It would also supportive of the change, as their clubs could benefit from this change in the long term. Now, bounce back. What do I mean by this? Any team that goes down from the National League, and I'll point this out, the last team I know to quote-unquote bounce back was Grimsby Town back in the 2021-22 season, where they beat Solihull Moors in the playoff final. With the previous season, they finished bottom of League Two, getting relegated to the National League, and they've come back up through the playoffs. It's been so many years since you've seen a team bounce back. I don't think that exists in as much as they're trying to, say, well, they could bounce back, but listen, the last team I know to do it is Grimsby, and that's quite close to a long time ago now. Now, the thing is, it's like, you look at League Two, and you've got Tranmere Rovers who are sitting just above the relegation spots. Now, if you ask anyone, with the way the club's been run this season and the way that everything's happened, they should be relegated to the National League along with the Morecambes and the Carlisles. If they didn't pick up form, say that the league table was finished right now, and you'd have Tranmere, Morecambe and Carlisle bottom 3, in my opinion, that deserves to be what happens. Now, you go on about this bouncing back business, and for me, it's a case of, if you're going to put 3 promotion spots in, you're going to have to lose a playoff place. And what that means is that you won't have the 2 quarterfinals to go on into the semi-final, or however it's ran, because you'd have to have it like the EFL's ran, where you have your playoff semi-finals, just back to natural basics and what everyone's used to. Now, that could mean a lot of things, that they could change it to have the person who finishes third from bottom play whoever, like the Bundesliga do it, where they have like a promotion relegation playoff game and settle it in a one-off 90 minutes, or they could have it how the EFL have it. Now, I'd prefer to have it how the EFL have it, but for me, they've not specified in this what direction they want to take. All they've said is they want 3 promotion, 3 relegations, but they've not said the direction that they want to take this, and I don't think that there's a clear-cut plan. But we'll carry on moving and speaking about this in terms of what Jack Pearce has to say. Because he says a lot of things, which the main thing that sticks out to me, by the way, is the last 2 paragraphs in this. It says, however, we believe the 3-up campaign goal is vital to overall health of the game and the government's objectives. Therefore, it should be high on the agenda as any other matter this year. Otherwise, the National League's needs are being overlooked during the IFR process, not least because the specific issues between the EFL and PL could potentially take years to reach a conclusion. Whilst we recognise the EFL's verbal support for the National League on the 3 promotions, our clubs have now made it abundantly clear that they see no reason for a further delay on the official process. Rick Parry, the EFL chair, has often said that the EFL should look down as well as up, so now we would like that to actually happen. Now, I'm going to kind of take a bit of a shot at the EFL here, because the EFL, in my opinion, are as useless as myself on a football pitch. Now, the reason why I say this, because if you look at Gateshead were a team last season that finished 6th in the league. They got playoffs fair and square. Now, last season, if you didn't know, Gateshead were barred from taking place in the playoffs because they didn't secure a 10-year tenure for a stadium, by the way, that they've played in since 1971-72. They didn't get that tenure by the 1st of March. Now, what I'm going to say to the EFL is this, is you look at this, right? You should be looking, and it's just the National League as well, by the way, you both should be looking after these clubs to ensure that they reach the EFL status quo, to be able to get these promotions and get these EFL memberships. Now, the changes that I would make personally is that I would change the fact of having AstroTurf pitches. I would scrap that from the National League, because every team in League Two plays with a grass pitch. Now, if you want everything to be like 3 promotions, 3 relegations, change it so every single National League team meets the status quo to get the EFL membership required to be able to get their promotion to Sky Bet League Two. Now, obviously, we don't know whether Gateshead would have got promoted because they didn't take part in the playoffs. But if you're a Gateshead fan and you're looking at this 3-up, 3-down business, surely you have to see that, like, the National League as well as the EFL have to work together to make this happen. And there's a lot of things that, you know, there's just so many inaccuracies with the way that the National League and the EFL, it just seems like they're so distant with no direction. And there has to be a direction, in my opinion. Now, that's not a bad thing, by the way, because it's just a matter of how they can improve. But for me, the National League has to have some kind of direction moving forward into how the playoffs is going to work and how everything else is going to work. Because for me, if you want these 3 promotion places, you have to have the teams running for the EFL status quo to be able to get these memberships, to be able to get these promotions that, you know, that you're trying to fight for. Now, it's an interesting bit, the next bit, because Mark Ives has something to say in this, which is on the National League website, and he says this: since the Football Conference was formed in 1979, our clubs have seldom come together in such a unanimous way as they have done in this issue. The National League has had 2 promotional places since 2003, which have helped transform the fortunes of countless local football clubs and enabled fairy tale stories such as Luton Town's ascent from the National League through the football pyramid into the Premier League in 2023. Now, what I'm going to say here is this: you will never, ever, ever, ever in your lifetime see a fairy tale story such as Luton Town. Now, like the Wrexhams for a sec, because the Wrexhams of the world have had money injections that Luton haven't had. Luton is something special in terms you will never ever see in our lifetime again a team like Luton Town that has just been ran properly get promotion from the National League and work their way up into the Premier League. You'll never see that again, which I understand the National League's point of view, but Luton have done this with 2 promotional places. How you can try and make, a fairy tale story out of it, I understand where they're coming from, but you will never see anything like this happen ever again. It's like Leicester City winning the Premier League. You probably will never see that happen. A team do something like what they've done happen again in your lifetime. It's just not going to happen. But he also goes on to say this: promotions have benefited the vast majority of our clubs during this 21-year period, but a 3rd spot, bringing the National League into line with the rest of the game, would be completely transformative. I do agree. I massively agree with this. I massively agree with what he's trying to say. But again, there's been no direction in how that's going to affect the National League, because at the moment the National League has 2nd to 7th being playoff positions. Now, as I say, there's been no direction with that, so how do we know about this going forward is something that can completely change. And if they were to show the direction going forward to the people in how this would happen, and show a clear vision and a clear plan, instead of we want 3 promotion places and 3 relegation places, I think that's something that we could get behind a lot more, if that makes sense. But yeah, he also says this as well, which is quite something to speak about. The National League currently has 15 clubs that are former EFL clubs. These 15 clubs, along with other clubs in the league, are being disadvantaged by this unfair structure. They are being prevented promotion on sport and merit they would otherwise deserve and benefit from under 3 up. Now, yes and no, because you've got Oldham Athletic, who are currently in the playoff positions, but they're not in the top 3. Your top 3 of the National League, as it stands, are Barnet, York City and Forest Green Rovers. Now, for me to say that 15 clubs are being put at disadvantage, 15 former EFL clubs, is wrong, because if they were up there, fine. If they were in that top 3 right now, fine. But you've got Barnet, York and Forest Green, who were 3 former EFL clubs. Now, obviously, Forest Green at that point, in my opinion, would be in the playoffs, because 2 automatics being Barnet and York, if it was to go in the direction that I wanted to. Obviously, Oldham would be put in there, but would it be a disadvantage? Not really, because it's to be up there, you've got to be up there, and some of the teams in this league aren't. So, yeah, it's kind of a mad one, that. But, yeah, the last thing that he does say, though, which is something that I also do want to discuss, is this: we are privileged to work together in the best football structure in the world, and together we have the opportunity to make it even better. We are grateful to Rick Parry and EFL for looking down as well as up, and hope they will now turn those words into action and support 3 up, so it passes the vote at the AGM this summer. Now, the thing is because they say they're looking down as well as up, and they're reluctant to change anything at this time and moment. Why is that? You have to look at both sides of the story, and it's why is that? Now, for me, going forward at this, and this is my message to the National League, show a clear direction in what you want to do. Show how you're going to move forward at this 3 up, and don't just say, we want 3 up, because what I'm getting from this is, the National League want 3 up, the EFL are reluctant to change anything. There's been a meeting between all 72 National League clubs. It's a National League North and South, and they all want it. But my issue is how is things going to change? What is the direction that you're wanting to take? And how are you going to make this known to the public? And in regards to the EFL, my message is this: listen to what the National League have to say. Listen, because to be fair, they've got a point. Work with them. Put football first. Do what you want to say, as well as, quote unquote, look down as well as up. And make things happen for the general public. Now, when I say this, it has to have a clear vision. Without a clear vision, nothing's going to work. And we're going to be in this cycle of campaigns being launched and things like that. But am I in support of it? Absolutely. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Do you agree with what Nappers is saying? Do you agree with what Diversity is saying? And most of all, do you agree with what I'm saying in this? Because for me, this discussion is something that needs to be taking place because it's something that is quite interesting, to be fair. And learning about this independent football and regulator that comes into fruition whenever is something that I'm looking forward to learning more about and looking more forward to speaking to you guys about. But yeah, if you do enjoy these type of videos, make sure you like, subscribe and comment and tap that bell for more notifications. And make sure you leave a comment down below as well in terms of what your thoughts are and everything like that. And let me know what you want me to do a video on next. But until next time, guys, I shall see you guys on another video.